Well, hey, folks, I'm here with Susan Hendricks, the author of the book Down the Hill. Susan happens to be in the courtroom for jury selection and those procedural challenges in the Richard Allen murder case down in Indiana. You'll remember that, the murder of Liberty German and Abigail Williams down on the Mononhigh Trail Bridge. Now, Susan, you've covered a lot of high-profile cases in your career, but this one seems to have deeply resonated with people all across the country, perhaps even the world. I'm wondering what motivated you to write the book Down the Hill and tell Libby and Abby's story.
Hi, Mike. It's great to see you. Thanks for having me on. I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, right outside of the courthouse as I record this. Jury selection is over. Tomorrow there's a hearing, and then the opening statements, the trial, begins on Friday, Delphi, Indiana. What inspired me to write this was to share the stories of Abby and Libby, what I learned through their families who were gracious enough to share their girls with us, with the world. And I wanted others to know that they were so much more than what happened to them on that fateful day in 2017.
Well, you're currently in the courtroom for the jury selection and those pre-trial challenges, but I'm wondering if you could describe what it's like being there, especially knowing all the years of anticipation surrounding this case. Well, what's the atmosphere like in the courtroom?
And the atmosphere in the courtroom, I mean, first of all, it's a beautiful courthouse, beautiful courtroom, but you feel like, in a way, you're in a bubble, that each side had done so much work getting to this point, and they had a job to do, which is pick an impartial jury, and I believe they did that. 12 jurors, 4 alternates were selected. And it was the first time, it's an interesting process that I witnessed that. And during that, you're able to really get a sense, Mike, of which way each side is going, what their strong points are, and what they may not have or be able to prove.
Throughout your extensive research on the book Down the Hill, you interviewed law enforcement, family members, and other people closely associated with the case. I'm wondering what some of the most impactful or surprising revelations are that you uncovered during your investigation, and what you think the public might really not be fully aware of.
I guess what I uncovered, at least for myself, was getting to know law enforcement as well as the families and seeing that everyone's heart was in the right place. And it was a difficult case. And Richard Allen, of course, innocent until proven guilty. A difficult case to get to this point. So many names were mentioned during the almost 6-year investigation. And there are law enforcement officers who the families told me put off retirement.
So this one blew me away yesterday when the defense announced that the hair found in Abby's hand did not belong to Richard Allen. Number one, I didn't even know that hair had been recovered in her hand when they recovered her body. What were your thoughts when you heard that sitting in the courtroom live?
Yeah, Mike, you're not alone in not knowing that fact of the case. The hair was found that it didn't belong to Richard Allen. But I will say that although it was new information to so many people inside that courtroom, it was in the middle of a very long day mentioned by Baldwin, one of the defense attorneys. But we'll see how that plays out and what type of hair it was. And did they connect it to anyone yet? We don't know. Was it open-ended statement? And then he moved on to another statement. So it happened in the middle of the day, day 2, in this courthouse behind me.
You know, jury selection is a critical part of any trial, especially when it's one that's as emotionally charged as this one is. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the challenges that the defense and the prosecution face when it comes to finding impartial juries in such a widely publicized case. And do you think they found those jurists?
I do believe they found a fair and impartial jury. They are seated, as I mentioned, 12 jurors, 4 alternates. And we also got a sense of which way they were going, but the prosecution and the defense. It's interesting. During jury selection, you not only see who the potential jurors could be, who they will be once they're seated, who the alternates are, but you also get a sense of which way the case is going. The prosecution, of course, their strong point to me, after listening for 2 days to the jury selection, the jury's questions, was the confessions, alleged confessions by Richard Allen that we are allowed to hear. Judge Ball ruled that we can hear them during the trial. But the weak point, I believe, is the lack of DNA evidence. Why? Because McClellan asked all of the potential jurors, how many people have watched CSI, and they had to raise their hands, and so many did. And then he said, how many of you believe that you have to have DNA evidence to solve a crime? And then for the defense, I believe their strong point is just that, maybe a lack of DNA evidence, but also trying to explain away the confessions by asking the potential jurors, have you ever said anything you didn't really mean? Have you ever been so stressed that you said something and you look back and you didn't want to say it? So that, I believe, was really telling on where they're going.
Well, how do you think this trial is going to ultimately shape up? I mean, what's going to happen in your opinion? And is it going to help us to focus on Abby and Libby and the pursuit of justice for them? Or are we going to get lost in all the legal meanderings?
That's a good question. And I believe the legal meandering will end soon on Friday. I believe that's going on even to this day as we speak. And it's been going on since the arrest of Richard Allen. So we are finally here. It will be tried in Delphi, Indiana. The jury selection was in the courthouse behind me. And I believe that now is what the families have been waiting for all of that to go away, for now it to be about evidence, what can you prove, and I believe in the system, and I believe that they did find 12 impartial jurors and 4 alternates. And I know that the families, of course, a horrific time for them to be at this point. Nothing is bringing back Abby and Libby. It's horrific all around, but finally, at trial and moving forward from here.
I want to really thank you for taking time, and I know you've got to get back in the courtroom for what's happening today, but I want to say thanks for your friendship and thanks for your commitment to evaluating facts rather than just springing into emotion. And this is a case full of emotion. Well, I hope we can talk again and maybe throughout this trial and share some things with those who watch Profiling Evil. And folks, I want to remind you, go out and pick up Susan's book, Down the Hill. I think you're going to find it really helpful as you listen to this trial, and we'll continue to focus on things as they roll out in the trial. Now, I'm going to be really interested in what your comments are on this case, and I hope you'll put them down below, especially while you're hitting that like and subscribe button. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends, and as you weigh in on these cases, please be kind to each other as you go through your thoughts and your feelings. Be professional, be concise, and back up your theories. Now, you can find Profiling Evil on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And if you like audio podcasts, make sure you're checking out Profiling Evil podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. I'm heading to Boston, Massachusetts for the International Chiefs Conference that's going on for the next week. I'm going to be there with 25,000 of my closest police chief friends. And if you're in the Boston area, maybe we'll run into each other. But thanks again for your support of Profiling Evil. We'll see you soon at the next crime scene.